So as the title of this video suggests, this is a simple guide for meditation. It's pretty much what I do. The first thing that you want to do is really hone in your position, right? So do you want to be laying down? Do you want to be sitting? In any position, you could probably sit on the floor or you could sit on a chair. It could be whichever one, right? But first things first is you have to get your position, right? So personally what I do is that I sit down on my chair or I just lay down on the floor, right? The second thing that you want to do is your breath, or if you want to do any breath work. So for me, what I do is I breathe in slowly through my nose, right? Sometimes I might let it out. I might breathe out through my mouth. But usually what I do is that I breathe in through my nose. And instead of breathing into the chest area over here, you want to breathe into your diaphragm, which is over here, right? So belly breaths. That's what you want to do. Number 3 is what you're gonna do with your mind. I have 2 things that I do. Either 1, I try to clear my mind as much as possible, or 2, I try to sit with my thoughts for a little bit and see where my thoughts lead me, right? 4 is how long / how often should you do it, right? If you've never meditated before, I recommend that you do maybe just 5 minutes a day in the morning or in the evening or whenever you can, because if you want to launch yourself into something just like that, you're going to get burnt out really easily, right? I mean, for me, I do at least 10 to 15 minutes of meditation a day, and if I get around to it, maybe 30 to 45, and this is just me because I've been meditating since the beginning of this year, so I've been meditating for about 8 months almost. And how often? I do it every single day personally, right? But for other people who want to really build this good habit, you would probably want to do it maybe like a couple of times a week and then build yourself up to that, right? So what I use, an application that I use, and I found it on a YouTube video on Hamza. I don't know if you guys probably know him, but I use this app called Mediation, and I track everything over here. So it's this application over here. You could probably see it, right? But I have currently 1,615 minutes of meditation, and it wasn't from the beginning of this year. It was from, I'm gonna say, I think April or May. I think it was April. But I started tracking my meditation in April, somewhere around there, somewhere in the springtime. And yeah, that's when I started using that app. And I recommend that you guys use this app. A lot of the apps like Headspace and Calm, they're pretty good apps because they have a lot of what are these things called? Guided meditations. They have a lot of guided meditations, it's really good for people who want to get into meditation for the first time. But the thing that I find is that a lot of people really complicate meditation. They make it more complicated than it actually seems, because in all essence, it's just about being present in the moment. Just being present, like right here, right now with your breath, and just kind of like, okay, right? I've been focusing way too much on this, or I've been, too involved in this, right? I need to chill for 5, 10, 15, even 20 minutes. I've done it all the way up to like 45 minutes, I think, one time. But that, I struggled a lot with 45 minutes. I can't do 45 minutes, but 20 minutes seems like the maximum that I can do without it. Without me constantly trying to fall asleep. But, a lot of people really complicate meditation. It shouldn't really be a complicated thing. It should just be something that a lot of people have in their back pocket for whenever they want to, whenever they feel as if life is going a little bit too fast, right? So going over these 4 steps again: position, breath / breath work. I didn't even talk about breath work. So breath work, right? 2 of the things. There's 2 breathing styles, I will call them, because there are 2 breathing styles that I sort of do. The second one isn't really like meditation, but you can use it for meditation if you want to like calm down and you want to get into like a state of mind. But the first one is called box breathing. Either 4 or 5 seconds you can hold, but usually what I do is 5 seconds, right? So you breathe in for 5 seconds, right? So I breathe in a little bit too rapidly there, but you breathe in for 5 seconds, right? Or 5 counts. You hold it for 5 seconds. And then you breathe out for 5 seconds. And then you hold for 5 seconds. And then you repeat that. You keep on breathing in for 5 seconds, you hold it for 5 seconds, and then you breathe out for 5 seconds, and you hold that for 5 seconds. And that is supposed to calm you down whenever you are stressed. I don't know where I heard it from, but it's a very good technique. I use it sometimes whenever I start to feel really stressed, and I feel this this little ball of stress, like right here, my solar plexus. But usually that's what I do. Although, and here's another one as well, which is the same thing for like stress, which I don't know the name of it, but you breathe in. I'll demonstrate. So you breathe in all the way until your lungs are like almost full with air, and then you sneak in a little breath, and then you should feel like this little like thing, this little ball of like what I like to call is tingliness, like tingly, like a little tingly ball, just like almost like right here going down into your lungs. That's how I feel it when you sneak in that little breath, like. That is supposed to help with stress as well. Whenever you're in like a very high stress environment. I remember my friend was the one who told me about that, where since he works in a very high stress environment, he was like, yeah, no, I do this breathing technique whenever I start to feel really stressed so that I can get back into my game, because, well, cooking is no joke. But that's the second technique, so I guess I added like one more. But the third one is called 478, which is a sleep technique. So you breathe in for 4 counts. That was not 4 counts. I don't know what's happening to me today. But you breathe in for 4 counts, you hold for 7 counts, and then you breathe out for 8 counts. So this is supposed to help with like sleep and for your relaxation. Usually what I do is whenever I can't sleep, I do that, and it works. I don't know why it does, but I fall asleep within like 5 to 10 minutes whenever I'm having like a tossy and turny night. But I guess you could. I've never tried it with my own like meditation work, but I guess you could, right? So I guess just really putting all these things together. Oh yeah, your mind. Either you can watch your thoughts, just kind of like watching people walk. It's kind of like, oh, that one looks interesting, but I mean, means nothing to me, right? That, or you could kind of just try to like block out everything. And then for how long? 5-10 minutes. It really is just up to you, right? And there is a specific method that I like, which is like sitting with your thoughts. That comes from this book right here, Why We Meditate. I've gotten a lot of inspiration from this book, from Daniel Goleman, and I can't pronounce that name, but if you guys want to take a picture of this. It is called Beautiful Monsters. It is chapter 4. Chapter 4 of this book is called Beautiful Monsters, where pretty much the second guy, I don't want to like butcher his name. The second guy tells you, right? So you have these thoughts in your mind where they're eating you up. They're like monsters and they scare you. So what you do is that you sit down and you extend your hand out like this, kind of like in a handshake. He tells you to handshake these thoughts. And you just sit with them until they, handshake you back. It's very useful. I've done it as well when I was dealing with my own certain things. Unintentionally, though. I didn't know about this technique until I read about it in this book. But whatever is bothering you, you sit down, you close your eyes, and you focus on your breath. Of course, you're not just like sporadically breathing, because if you breathe very like fast, like like hyperventilating, that speeds up your stress, right? But you sit down or lay down or whatever, you close your eyes, and then you start to just sit with the thought that's kind of just eating you up. And then How he explains it is that this thought starts to open up to you the more love you show it. So it's like, yeah, this thought is part of you. This is part of you. Whatever happened, this is part of you. And then you just start to slowly accept that, and then that thought starts to open up to you. And then whatever lies this thought is telling you, like, oh, you know, you're not worthy of love or anything else, you start to tell it, no, but I am worthy of love, right? I love myself enough, and I have family and friends that love me. But you can't accept this fact until that thought is opened up to you. The way that I like to think about it is that thoughts are kind of like fragments of persons. So, in essence, and just like a little bit of a... I don't know how to word this. In some way, shape, or form, that thought is a person, and if you show a person love, they will eventually open up to you, just the same way that a thought will. And then you can tell that person, hey, look, all these things that you've been saying are not right. This is the truth, right? Because these thoughts are just playing with your reality. And reality is reality, and you have to accept it for what it is, but sometimes your emotions get in the way, which, I mean, all of us deal with that. But that is one of the ways that you can meditate. You just sit down and you sit with those thoughts. The other way is that you can try to make those thoughts go away, which I've been successful a lot in trying to do that. I remember I was sitting down, I meditated for 15 minutes, and then I just, I sat down on a chair and I was just sitting like this, chest wide, shoulders back, spine up, and I was just sitting like that, and then I closed my eyes, and then it was the most peaceful 15 minutes that I've had. But yeah, you can either look at your thoughts or you can make them go away for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes at a time. At least that's the way that I do it. It should not be so complicated. And I think this is what a lot of people kind of get wrong. There's a misconception about meditation that's kind of like, I remember one of my friends was like, I told him, right, so the way that you meditate is like this, and this is what I do, and then she was like, what kind of hippie ass drugs are you on? And I'm just here like, but I guess there's this kind of like misconception that meditation is this like hippie thing, or this like kind of like weird thing. It really isn't. We do it all the time, we just don't notice. Like whenever we kind of like sit down and we think about something, we meditate on something, right? We think about something methodically. Sometimes we do contemplate, right? I mean, I have a whole definition of what contemplation and meditation is, right? Meditation is methodically thinking about something, right? So kind of like these steps. Like, how are you going to do this? What are the outcomes? Just kind of like sorting through your thoughts a little bit. Contemplating is just like, kind of like worrying about something, like, what about next week? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Worrying about things, right? There's a difference between contemplation and meditation, and we do meditation all the time, we just don't realize it. But this is a more concentrated form of meditation. But yeah, I'm in conclusion, right? First, position. Second, breath and breath work. Third, your mind. 4, how long / how often. Get into any position that is comfortable. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth / nose, whichever one you want, but always breathe in through your nose. Breathe into your belly, always. 3, you can either let your thoughts pass and look at them, or do whatever you need with them, or you can clear your mind and try to, kind of like a bicep curl, trying to, every single time that you focus on either a part of your body or on your breath. Mostly you just want to focus on your breath. It's kind of like a bicep curl for your mind. So you can either look at those thoughts and let them go, or try not to have any thoughts. And then 4, how long, how often? However long you want to. It can even be up to a minute. But yeah, that is a simple guide for meditation. I kind of delved into some other things, but I hope that you can, this video was of some help and it was informational. So yeah.